कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविता शाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलं यः पिबन् रामचरितामृतसागरम् अतृप्तस्य मुनिं वन्दे प्राचेतसमकल्मषम् गोष्पतीकृतवाराशिं मशकीकृतराक्षसं रामायणमहापाला रत्नं वन्दे नीलात्मजम् आञ्जनेयमधिपाटलाननं काञ्चनाद्रिकमनीयविग्रहं पारिजाततरुमूलवासिनं भावयामि पवमाननन्दनं वैदेही सहितं सुरद्रुमतले हैमे महामण्डपे मध्ये पुष्पकमासने मणिमये वीरासने सुस्थितम् अग्रे वाच इति प्रभाञ्जनसुते तत्त्वं मुनिभ्यः परं व्याख्यान्तं भरतादिभिः परिवृतं रामं भजे श्यामलं नमोऽस्तु रामाय सलक्ष्मणाय देव्यै च तस्यै जनकात्मजाय नमोऽस्तु रुद्रेन्द्रयमानिलेभ्यो नमोऽस्तु चन्द्रार्कमरुद्गणेभ्यः सीतापते श्रीराम राम 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 Again, thank all the devotees for joining us, giving me this opportunity to read Ramayana to you week on week. This was a study circle session, and as I have mentioned earlier, I begin with my disclaimers to say I am not a scholar of the Ramayana. I haven't even completed a deep study of Ramayana in completeness. Neither do I know Sanskrit. So only by the blessings of the community of sadhus, Guru and Rama that I am speaking on this forum. Hare Krishna. So we are looking back at Bharata heading towards Rama and what's going to happen in the meeting. We're going to look at that particular segment here. So Bhrataram Drishtum Utsuka. So this is first depicting the mood. What is the mood of Bharata? So some of the Pravachan Kartas describe that Bharata is literally jumping across, scaling big spaces, jumping across ditches, jumping across shrubs, because they have already seen the smoke. So the smoke is the signal for them. And looking at the smoke, there are two things that will happen. When you look at the smoke, it could be a sadhu sitting there, and you see the smoke, and you can be disappointed. But the eagerness is Rama going to be there? So that Utsuka is the word to say that Utsaha, that eagerness that is in Bharata. Jagama Bharatastada. So Bharata is jumping leaps and bounds, running towards where Rama is. If you remember earlier, when they had spotted it, he had asked the rest of the army and everybody else to stay back other than a handful. And as he is rushing forward, what is he saying? Rishim Vashishtam Sandishya. He is communicating something to Rishim Vashishtam. And what is he saying? Matran me shigramanaya. May my mothers be brought here soon. Now this is an instruction, literally, that he is giving Vashishta. Yes, it's a request he is making. How do we know if it's an instruction that, to his guru, not only his guru, his great grandfather's guru? Yes, he's speaking to that person and he's saying, Matran me shigramanaya. Please bring my mothers. So he doesn't want to wait. He doesn't want to be delayed by that. He knows Vashishta is a much older personality. He knows that the mothers are always comfortable with him. So he's requesting Vashishta at this point in time. How do we know he's requesting? Valmiki is putting the next word there. Jagama. He's going. And what is the adjective that's given for? Guru Vatsala. The person who is Vatsala of Guru. Yes? Who is very dear to the Guru. Who's always got the Guru in his heart. Iti Tvaritam, Tvaritam Agresa. He was swiftly moving ahead. Guru Vatsala. But he is saying, "Oh Vashishta, please bring the mothers over." Then Sumantra Stah Api Rama Darshanam Jaha Tarshe. So Sumantras Stu Api. Even Sumantra, Rama Darshanam Ja means born from. Rama Darshana Ja Tarsho means he was also desirous of what? Rama Darshana Ja means born from. Rama, the desire to have Rama's Darshana, he is also ready. So Sumantra followed Shatrughna just as Shatrughna was following Bharata, and they were all thirsty to just get to meet Rama. So Bharata saw a leaf hut and a thatched cottage amidst the residences of the ascetics. So there are many ascetic residences, and amidst that he is seeing the cottage. Now, well, somebody sent me a GPS signal, but is this the right space? Yes, GPS signal is always 40 meters away. So you have one sadhu there, you have one sadhu's house here. So what's he going to recognize? Is this sadhu or is this Rama? So that's something to recognize. So Rama's leaf hut and thatch was similar in construction to that of the ascetics. Yes, and the leaf hut has a leaf cottage functioning as a place for keeping sacred fire. So there is the kutir for Rama, and there is a small kutir for Lakshmana, and in front of that there is a little leaf thatch, and that is basically protecting the sacred fire, where the sacred fire is kept. So they say that the sacred fire is outside Lakshmana's residence. That's where it is. So then he saw in front of the residence, this is the first signals he is gathering. What is the signal he is gathering? In front of the residence there are broken pieces of wood. Okay, there is a lot of logs and wood there. Fine. What does that indicate? That indicates that there is a place for worship and yajna is happening, and therefore there are logs, and there are also plucked flowers strewn around that space. Yes. So he sees there are some plucked flowers kept there. So he knows this is ready for worship. So this is a place that somebody is utilizing. It's not an abandoned ashram. We have come across abandoned ashrams before in Balakanda, yes, in Ramayana. So then he sees kusha grass, and as they are going towards it, they are seeing different trees. And on the trees, there is kusha grass and deer skin that has been tied up. So you see, Bharata is very anxious. Bharata is actually within himself heartbroken. Bharata is very eager to meet Rama, but still he doesn't. These details don't skip. So when you are the leader, when you are a Kshatriya, when you have a whole set of people who are following you, when you are in the old days, the Kshatriyas used to be in the front. Today Kshatriyas are sitting in the back. So when you are in the front, you need to observe for them. You need to observe and be able to see, is this safe or not. So the ability to observe, to envision, to see things and to understand where we may get into risk is a natural ability that a Kshatriya needs to have. So Bharata is showing us that he is noticing all these things despite the hurry that he is in to meet Rama, despite the fact that he's got an entire army, despite the fact that it doesn't look like a place that means any danger to him, but he's still observant of everything. So he sees the trees are tied with kusha and deer bark. What could that be? And deer skin. What could that be? So then he is able to understand that these things have been tied to show as a sign as to how to get there. So if somebody wants to understand, this is like a name board, flat 116 right, flat 117 to 140 left. Yes, like that. They have basically tied this up. So he's thinking, so this must be the work of Lakshmana, because he must be going to bring water, bring fruits. And the other issue is, this place is very much frequented by elephants, and elephants which come trample all over the place. In fact, elephants can completely finish the trees. Elephants can completely finish the trails. So you may think there is one tree here, there is one this thing, all those things can disappear. So they have placed it in multiple places. So he's able to see that somebody is definitely using this place very clearly. Then he says, Mriganam Mahishanam cha Karishaihi Shitakarana. So Mriganam, deer. Mahishanam. Mahishanam is buffaloes. So there is buffalo dung and deer dung. I hate dung, whichever dung. I hate even cow's dung. Why would I deal with buffalo dung and any other dung? Well, in the traditional times, they had a use for everything, and there is nothing that is useless, and they knew how to use. So what were they using this for? He saw a heap of deer and buffalo dung. What is that being used for? Cha Karishaihi. That dung, and it must of course be dry dung, because the wet you can't do anything with. Shitakarana. Because it's cold, at that time you will go ahead and light these. So you can use this as for having a fire and a light in the night, because having a light in the night can ward off many animals. Many of the animals are afraid of fire. That's one aspect of it. Another is the fact that it's cold and you need to keep the place warm. So you put it in a central space, you get some amount of warmth in the immediate vicinity. So it was there for that purpose. So then, in the same verse, our Govindaraja, the commentator, he's making this mention that Bharata was actually feeling diffident. He said, actually, for the kind of person I am, for what me and my mother have done, we may not even deserve to or get the opportunity actually to get the darshan of Rama. So he was darshana akankshyata, very, very desirous of darshana, expecting and praying and hoping that he will actually get to see Rama. So then, we can see that there's a lot of thick smoke from the fire that ascetics in the forest always wish to maintain. So he's seeing thick smoke coming from the fire. So he knows the yajna has just been performed. He's able to see that thick smoke. But then, that's one other ascetic. How do you know that's Rama? So then there is a discussion that the acharyas enter. What is this that is being done? So we know that as part of his daily activities, Rama is performing these sacrifices, because we understand Krite yadhyayato vishnum tretayam yajato makaihi dwaparet paricharyayam kalotad harikirtana. Kali, what you get by doing harikirtana, it's the same that you get in Krita Yuga by dhyayato vishnum, by doing dhyana, and then treta, by worshipping, by doing yajna. Dwaparet paricharyayam. In Dwapara, by opulent deity worship, what you get, kalau tad, in Kali you get the same result. So the Yuga Dharma of that particular period, Rama is performing very nicely, and we saw this earlier also. Sita is mentioning that she says, I really desire, and there's a list of things that she talks about. She's saying that I want to see when you're going to actually be coronated king, and that will be a fantastic day for me. And along with that, she says, Dikshitam Vrata Sampannam. I want to see you take those vows that you're going to do Vajapeya, you're going to do Ashwamedha, all of these sacrifices. So when you get initiated, it's sort of clear that it's not some of those bigger Shrauta Vihita Karma, but these are called the Grahya Sutras, given in the Yajnas given in the Grahya Sutras that is actually performing there. So she's saying, I want to see you initiated to sacrifice, wear fine deer skin and fulfill the required vows, etc., etc. So Rama has been performing these, and we know that that's according to the dharma of that particular age. So that also shows how dedicated he is to his duties on the spiritual. Then Mat krite vyasanam prapte vane vasati raghava. When he sees this, he sees that hut, he sees what we in Hindi will say pichadapan, very backward minded. This is the man, where has he lived before, and look at where he's living. So he says, Mat krite, it is because of me. Directly or indirectly, maybe I wasn't directly involved in it, which is what Bharata has been trying to prove all his life to everybody. But, and every time he gets asked about the same thing, he says, but it's because of me, indirectly if at all. Vyasanam prapte, all this difficulty that Raghava has to go through living here in this forest. He's lamenting about that. He says, Iti loka samakrishtaha. I am loka samakrishta. The entire world, everybody in this world is currently cursing me for this. Yes, they think I am the reason for this. Iti loka samakrishtaha. Padeshvadya prasadayan. So he says, what am I going to do? Padeshvadya. I am going to fall at their feet in order to get their mercy. Prasadayan, to get their prasada. Now, who is he going to talk? Who is he talking about? Ramasya nipatitas shyami. Nipatitas shyami. Nipatita patita is to fall. Nipatitas shyami is I am going to fall at Rama's feet. Not only, then he says, Sitaya cha Lakshmanasya cha. And Sita and Lakshmana, I am going to fall at their feet and beg for forgiveness. And then he says, I have been subject of public criticism in this regard, and I have to seek their forgiveness. So in one other version, it seems it says Sitayascha. Instead of, it says Ramasya nipatita syami Sitaya cha punaf punaha. Is that the version you are seeing there, Ma? Very nice. So punaf punaha is to mean again and again. So he's instead of the word Lakshmana being there, he's saying to Rama and Sita, I want to fall at their feet again and again and beg forgiveness. Yes, repeatedly. That's the point that's being made. So we move on to the next. Then he sees a large, auspicious, charming leaf cottage in that forest, and was covered with several types of leaves. So he's getting closer, he's able to see the details on it. So from Shala Vriksha, we saw Shala Vriksha being mentioned earlier, and Srithala, Sarja trees. Spacious sacrificial altar was strewn with soft, spacious altar and stage, and on that soft kusha grass all over that place, and it shone. Now comes. So till now there's still no hint that this is Rama here, but then now he sees it shone with boughs that were gold plated, which resembled Indra's thunderbolt. Yes, that oppressed the enemies. Decorated with dreadful arrows with blazing sharp tips, which shone like the rays of the sun, which were stored in quivers. Yeah, there's a quiver and there are many, many arrows. And look at how Valmiki is describing that. The many arrows stored in a quiver look like snakes in Bhogavati, the city of snakes, where you see snakes crawling all over. So it looks like there are many, many snakes in one quiver. That's how Valmiki is seeing the poetic beauty here. And a pair of swords on golden kabards. This kabard is the top cover. Swords are in there, and a pair of multicolored shields. So you can imagine a very, very interesting, nice, big shaped shield. Splendorous, beautiful, with golden spots in them, and various kinds of arm guards. Guards for the arm, finger guards. Yes, we have discussed about this earlier. The finger guards made of skin, mostly dog skin, and that's very soft, so they'll be able to hold the thread. So you keep doing this again and again. The thread is very sharp, yeah, and sometimes it can vibrate, so it can cut your hand. So they use these finger guards for that. So he's able to see all of that. Now this lets the cat out of the bag. 99. Yes, he knows that there is a Kshatriya, but the bow, the look of the bow, the glamour of the bow, yes, definitely there is a king, and whose bow it is also not a matter of secret. He knows the structure of it, the way it is made, what are the Ayodhyavasis have been having there, etc. So Govinda Raja also comments that there were multiple bows there. Bhara sadhanaihi. So he says there are some bows which are used for, practice, but some bows which are used for bhara sadhana, very heavy situations, which means not some normal mild quarrel, some funny person comes here there. No. For major battles you use another type of bow and arrow, and for smaller battles or practice you use another. So he's talking about both types of bows being there, and then he's also quoting from Dhanurveda, in that connection. So that's also interesting. So then 24, Prag Udaka Prabanam. Yes. So Prag Udaka Prabanam means northeast direction is facing steeping downwards. Yes. The northeast corner is sloped towards the northeast. The altar is made in a manner that it is sloped. My northeast is here, that's why my hand is going this way. That's the northeast corner for me, where I am sitting. And an altar, spacious and shining like fire, beautiful altar. Again, highlighting the importance of Vastu Shastra, and that we should have an idea of what that is. Not that we go overboard today, whether it's astrology or Vastu Shastra, we don't have the kind of super eminent folks who may be able to give us great clarity. You take a horoscope to 3 astrologers and you get 3 different predictions, and then, hey, what am I to do with this? So those are some practical situations there today that we face. Then suddenly Bharata gets to see what he came here to see. Nirikshasya muhurtam tu. A sudden one moment he got to see. Now what is that muhurta? It's not that he recognized him immediately. He's seeing him, but it's taking him a little time to actually register and respond because of 2 reasons. Dadarsham Ramamasinam. He actually saw Rama sitting there. And how is Rama sitting there? Let me show you a little demo. Right leg and the left leg going on top like this. So this is the posture of sitting. Right leg and the left leg going on top of the right leg, on the right knee. That's called Virasana, and that's the way that Rama is sitting there. He's able to see Rama sitting there, but it's not registering in him. Why? Actually, who is he seeing? He's seeing Rama after 12 years. Yes, he's been away. Second, he's never seen Rama in this shape. Even earlier when they went to the forest, Rama and Lakshmana went to the forest when they were young. But he's never seen Rama with Jata and all of this. So it's taking him some time to actually recognize that personality. So, and then Rama is described here with the Shabda Guru, Gurum. Rama is being described as Gurum, Jata Mandala Dharinam, because he is having Jata Mandala, locks of hair. And looking at him, Gurum, the word Guru, as we've seen earlier, refers to multiple relationships. The Guru who gives knowledge, and within that we have multiple varieties of Guru. But apart from that, the father, the mother, the elder brother, all of them can refer to as Guru, and that's why Valmiki is using this reference as a description of who Bharata is seeing. So Bharata took a moment to recognize because of the attire that he is seeing Rama in. And Jata Mandala Dharinam. Now this is a very, very interesting verse. I want you to note this verse. There's something very special about this verse. Dha Jata Mandala Dharinam Na Na. The word Na. So Gayatri Mantra Varenyam Nya is one word that comes in the Gayatri Mantra. And this Na is supposed to be representing that. So it seems every few thousand verses they count, basis the verse, there is one particular letter that is taken. You put all those letters together in Ramayana, you get the Gayatri Mantra. So this is verse 6000. Ramayana is supposed to be 24,000 verses, and we are now touching verse 6000. Frankly, it's a great milestone to celebrate. It means that 25% of Ramayana we have covered till now, and that also tells us there's a long journey to go. And if we go this slow, I don't know, it will be a good few years. I hope I'm going to be around. Yeah, thank you, Jayant. It really is a big this thing. Any comments, anybody? We finished 25% of the Ramayana. That's where we stand today. How's that to hear?
Prabhu,
Jai.
blessings. Prabhu, blessings, honestly.
Yeah, it's a
From
great.
day one to day now, almost 1 year plus.
Yeah, that is this section.
Yeah,
Ayodhya is 1 year plus. We've been working on this for 3.5 years now.
Balakanda also.
Yes, we're working on this for 3.5 years. So Rama has been very, very kind that he has given us the opportunity to continue this particular, and that's 25% done of this massive Grantha of Ramayana, which is the Adi Kavya, one of the most important writings in the Sanatana line. Yes, it's a fantastic this thing. I'm really fortunate and thanking all of you for being here, supporting us in this direction, but also thanking Lord Rama for giving us and praying that he give us the steadiness, and that we are even sharper, we are even faster in our coverage, and we are able to all of us will be happily having more realizations, more understanding of Ramayana, more love and dedication towards our bhakti to Rama. Those are my prayers. Hare Krishna. So we move on. So that is Rna Jata Mandala Dharinam. Somebody had asked a question in this connection a good few classes ago. I don't remember. They said it seems Ramayana, if we take multiple letters after every few thousand verses, we get the Gayatri Mantra. I probably answered with a let me find out and come back to you. This is given by Govindaraja, so I know it's a very, very authentic version to pick from there. So, move on to the next verse. Tam tu Krishna Jina Dharam. So, who is he seeing there? He is seeing a person who's sitting there clad in deer skin. Chira Valkalavasasam. And bark garment. So, the bark garment, tree bark garment is for the lower garment, and the upper is a deer skin that's put across. Generally, they will always wear it along with the janevu. It will not be the reverse. It will always be in the direction that the sacred thread is worn. And then, so that's the first description. So this is a direct description of Sri Rama. It's a beautiful verse, two verses, which describe Rama and how he was in that. Mind you, Vaidehi Sahitam Suradrumatale Haime Mahamantape Madhye Pushpakamasane Manimaye Virasane Sustitam. So that seems to be Rama's favorite posture, coming up multiple times. So he's sitting cross-legged, except that the right leg is lower and the left leg is pulled in further, and the ankle is on the knee. On the left ankle is on the right knee. On top of that, that's a very very majestic posture to sit on. So he's seeing Rama here. So this verse actually describes how Rama lived when he was in the forest. It's a very beautiful description of Rama's beauty. Let's have a look at the rest. Dadarsha Rama Asinam. Dadarsha Rama Asinam. Asit is to be seated. So he's seeing Rama in that seated situation. And look at the next description. Abitaha Pavaka Upamam. Abitaha means just where Rama was sitting, it looked like he's completely covered by fire on all sides. It's like he's glowing. It's like fire. So, you really even need to sort of focus your eyes, because that whole place is glowing with that effulgence around Rama. And Simha Skandham Mahabahum. Like with Rama sitting there with the shoulders of a lion, with strong armed Rama. So that clear Kshatriya, I've shown you pictures of the lion and lion's shoulder when it's running, when it's hitting a prey. You see with that hand, you'll see the shoulder muscle pop out when it's going to hit a prey with that hand. So Simhaskandam Mahabahum Pundarika Nibhekshanam, and those beautiful lotus-like eyes, which is being described here of Rama, like lotus petals. Prithivya Sagara Antaya. Yes, Prithivyaha and Sagara Antaya. What is this personality? This entire tract of land, this Prithvi, Sagara Antaya, and the oceans that are there, all of them, he is Bhartaram Dharma Charinam. He is the Bharta, he is the Lord, he is the protector of this entire tract of land. That is the personality who is sitting there. And despite being that, he is Dharma Charinam. He is somebody who practices Dharma meticulously. Upavishtam Mahabahum Brahmana Miva Shashvatam. Another beautiful verse. It's a compare that is being made. Upavishtam Mahabahum. When that great strong armed Rama is sitting there, Upavishtam being seated, Brahmana Miva. Oh, it looks like Brahma. Oh, is it? Looks like Brahma. But then Govindaraja adds this commentary perspective to the next word. Brahmana Miva Shashvatam means eternal. The reality is Brahma is not eternal. Ad Brahma Bhavanan Lokan Punaravartino Arjuna Mamopeteta Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate. Yes, you can go up to Brahma Loka, but you have to take birth and death again. And so Brahma is not eternal. So then what is the meaning of Shashvatam? So here it is contrasting to say Upavishtam Mahabahum, this great personality of Rama, he can be compared to Brahma. He looks like. But what you need to understand that Brahma is not Shashvata, but he is Shashvata. That is the Vaishnavacharya's commentary. You will not see the other commentators sort of pick up on this particular aspect. Yes? Then Standalo Dharba Sanstirno Sitaya Lakshmane Nacha. And there Dharba, grass strewn on the floor. Rama is sitting there. There is Sita on one side, there is Lakshmana on the other side. It's not that Rama doesn't know. We saw earlier Lakshmana is climbing the big Shala Vriksha. Yes? And then he's seeing the army coming. Rama knows very clearly the army is coming. Rama knows very clearly Bharata is coming because the pomegranate Dhwaja of Bharata, the huge pomegranate tree, is being seen. So they know Bharata is coming. So he's waiting for him. Cool. Just sitting there. The royal mode of reception. Just sitting there on the ground with kusha grass put all over the place and sitting on top of kusha grass. Even now we have seen some, if you go in many places in the south, you will get you go to some of the spiritual wares where they sell different things. There you will see a kusha mat that is being given. It's very, very, very auspicious. The normal mat that you sleep on is a different thing, but kusha is always meant for auspiciousness, is very, very considered very, very pure. And I've seen some properly made out mats, and I've seen many times there's a bunch of kusha grass like this, one bunch, which is just tied together, just with a this thing and a knot, and then one more bunch with a knot, and then you have 15-20 bunches like this, and you have a mat that's made out of that. So here, because they have a lot of kusha grass is bought and it's just put out there for them to sit on. So the three of them are sitting there, and here comes Bharata. Bharata says, he who, then what is Bharata's thought? What is happening in Bharata's head? Bharata is seeing, he is the person who wore the most valuable clothing that you can ever find on the planet. Yes? And such resplendent, beautiful clothing. But look at what is his appearance at this point in time. He is wearing deerskin at this point in time. But then he is also awestruck to say that, look at this personality. He looks so resplendent, so attractive, so beautiful, even more than before. This is Govindaraja's commentary. He says, even more than before, irresistibly pleasing. Asinam, saying that he is meditating on himself. This is an interesting point. He's saying, Rama is sitting there and he is in meditation. And when he is in meditation, then the question is, what's he meditating upon? We know what we need to meditate upon. Yes? Dhyayato Vishnum in Kruta. It's not that they were doing just dhyana, but what were they doing dhyana on? Dhyana on Vishnu. So, Dhyayan Bhagavato Rupam Nadrakshi Kinchana Param Dhruva. Yes? So, What is Rama meditating on? That's the question. We all know what we need to meditate on, but what is Rama meditating? So that we will come to. The next point that is being made is Avitaha Pavakopamam. Yes, that Avitaha shining all around Rama. Pavakopamam, as if there is fire. So there is this mention that this fire is to say nobody, not even the enemies, not even this brother Bharata who has come here, can without his permission enter into his precincts, in his proximity, because the fire is not going to forgive anybody. So that Govindaraja is mentioning here. His opponents are even approached by his own brother, as you cannot get in near blazing fire. That's an important point. So it's like Rama is, many times you may take a snap sitting in front of a bonfire or something like that. You have to imagine Rama sitting like that, literally, where there is fire all around him. So much so, the fire was, the whole place was so resplendent because of that Pavakopamam, that shine like fire, that you really have to focus your eyes to see that. He couldn't see that very clearly. So then question is, what is Rama meditating on? So we go to the 10th canto, chapter 70, 4 and 5 verses, and we can see what we can learn, because Krishna was seen meditating upon himself there on a daily basis. So then Prabhupada explains this beautifully. Let's listen from Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. As for Krishna's meditation, he had no alternative but to meditate upon himself. Bhaiya hai kaun usko meditate karne ke liye? So he has no option. The object of meditation is Brahman, Paramatma or Bhagavan. But Krishna himself is all three. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, the localized Paramatma in his plenary partial expansion and all-pervading Brahman effulgence is the personal rays of his transcendental body. So, by analytical study of Krishna and his person, it is concluded that he is a complete whole, and when he meditates, therefore, he meditates on himself. Self-meditation by the ordinary man, designated in Sanskrit as Soham or Ahangopasana, as sometimes referred to, is simply an imitation. Krishna may meditate upon himself because he is a complete whole, but we cannot imitate him and meditate upon ourselves. Our body is a designation superimposed upon ourself, the soul. Krishna's body is not a designation. Krishna's body is also Krishna. There is no existence of anything foreign in Krishna. Whatever there is in Krishna is also Krishna. He is therefore the supreme, indestructible, complete existence of the supreme truth. This is coming from the Krishna book, chapter 70. So again, the mention of Virasane. This Virasane is mentioned again by Govindacharya. Upon seeing that, Bharata became overwhelmed with grief, and he started running towards Rama, and he lamented in distress. His voice was choked, his face was discolored at that point in time, and discolored because of the burning in sorrow that he was experiencing, and he is unable to control his distress with fortitude, and he spoke the following words. What did he speak? Bharata is saying, we're looking at text 31 now. Yeah. Sansad. Yes. What is Sansad in Hindi? Guys who have some political information.
Parliament.
So, Parliament. Thank you for that. Yes, Sansadi. Prakriti Bihi. Yes, Sansadi Prakriti Bihi. That person who sits in the Parliament, Prakriti Bihi means along with the ministers. Now, where is he sitting? Upasitum. Yes, that's where he was sitting. In the Sansad, in the Parliament, along with all the ministers. Vanaihi Brigair Upasinam. Now he is sitting there, surrounded by one deer which is standing next to him, and all these forest animals that are there. This is the place that he is living. The great soul who used to decorate himself with beautiful dresses, um, and um, which are so valuable, and now he's wearing deer skin. The person who wore beautiful, colorful flowers on his hair and his body, now he's bearing the weight of matted hair. His body, see, because the hair itself has got its own natural weight, but then if you use the sap of the tree to actually mat your hair, the sap is an addition to that, yes, so it becomes heavy. So that's the point that's being brought out here. And so matted hair, the body which was smeared with valuable sandalwood powder paste, is now smeared with dirt. So in this situation, and he also says Rama is practicing dharma. So there are two reasons why Rama is practicing dharma: to show us that we need to practice dharma. But then he is bewildered. Govindacharya is writing that we need to practice dharma so that we increase our piety, so that we go one step closer to the Lord. Yes, we need to follow dharma for that. What is Rama having to do this for? That's perplexity. Tamatyanta vidambanam, as Kunti Stuti, we said it's a very conundrum, not so easy to understand. So the Bhagavatam again talks about what is dharma, what does one need to practice. At that time, Satyam, Daya, Tapas, Shaucham, Titiksha, Shamo, Dama, Ahimsa, Brahmacharyam cha, Tyagaha, Swadhyayam Arjavam. So all these are different qualities. So I read the translation for that. These are the general principles to be followed by all human beings. Truthfulness. All of us, not only Rama. Mercy, austerity, observing fasts on certain days. So we all need to be austere, and we all need to show mercy. Bathing twice a day. Remember, twice a day. Tolerance. Discrimination between right and wrong. Yes? There's another verse in the Ramayana which again talks about it's very, very important, because if one doesn't know to discriminate between the right and the wrong, even if you are a big authority, the Ramayana says you can discard that person who can't sift between the right and the wrong. Control of the mind, control of the senses, non-violence, celibacy, charity, swadhyaya, reading scripture, simplicity, arjavam, satisfaction, tushti, rendering service to saintly persons, sadhu seva, sadhu sangha, gradually taking leave of unnecessary engagements, yes, observing the futility of unnecessary activities of human society, smaran nityam anityatvam, remaining silent, mauni, and grave, yes, avoiding unnecessary talk, samvritakara, as Rama is being, or mitabashi, or alpabashi, to say, avoiding, or you can also say, as in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Gramiya Varta, yeah, Gramiya Bhasha na sunibe, Varta na sunibe, that one should not be engaging in just cheap gossip, talking about people, talking about things like that. So, grave, avoiding unnecessary talking. Consider whether one is the body or soul. That, smaran nityam anityatvam, that we need to always keep this in mind. So many people say, why is Prabhupada always talking about the body and the soul? Well, show me how many people really understand the difference between the body and the soul, which means all the rest of us really need to hear that again and again, so that we will be able to ponder over that and really understand what is our situation. Distributing food equally to all living entities, both men and animals. This is a duty that we are all bound to. I've heard this discussion come up multiple times. I'm talking about something that's very important at this point, and I seek your attention. There is an ongoing debate as to what should ISKCON do with regard to philanthropy, specifically in a situation like this, where there is COVID and there are people suffering in the millions all over, and we need to actually, it's a call to action at this point in time. But then what does ISKCON have to do? What do you have to do? These are two different entities. We are affiliated to ISKCON in some way. ISKCON has standards and we try to follow what those standards are. But we are two separate entities. I am an individual Grahastha, and as an individual Grahastha, I have duties. For me, one of my duties is to take care of guests. One of my duties is to take care of my family. Yes, one of my duties is to see that I feed people. That's a duty of a Grahastha. Yes, to actually feed people is the duty of Grahasthas. Annasya kshuditam patram. Shastra says, before you eat your every meal, you are supposed to go out and ask, is there anybody hungry? Yes, you hear so many stories, Ranti Deva and all this. People, when somebody is coming to you asking for food, it's your duty bound to actually feed them at that point in time. So as a Grahastha, should you be feeding people? Of course you should be feeding people. You cannot abdicate that particular duty and responsibility, and therefore you can't quote, oh, this came from there, ISKCON says this, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati did this. No, that's a different thing altogether. That as an entity, ISKCON as an organization, what they should be doing, that's a debate, and that we need to understand, because ISKCON is not here to just feed people. ISKCON as an entity is here to feed not the body but the soul. Therefore, it how much of it should be done is a question. But then you also see traditional temples. There is enough to show that just records from Chengalpet district from the British times. It is showing very clearly that 40% of all that was cultivated was sent out to the different temples. Each temple was rich with tons and tons of rice and other grains. So each temple was a place which was an annakshetra, where people were being fed in the thousands on an everyday basis. There were chatrams as a concept. So that's a beautiful concept. I don't know, we get a time later, I'll share that with you. What today we think the word chatram means chowdhury or marriage hall, but that's a completely different concept. Therefore, to feed people, to take care of people, all these are the duties of a king at one end, and each Grahastha is duty bound to actually support the society that he lives in, and we can't abdicate from that responsibility. When we see this particular situation now, distributing food equally to all living entities, men and animals, every Grahastha is duty bound to do that. So as individual Grahasthas or as collective Grahasthas, we are free to do what we think in connection with giving Annadan. Nothing wrong in doing that. It's given to us by scripture. What ISKCON does as an entity is a separate debate that can be taken up. Let's not get muddled in that. Let's understand what our Grahastha Dharma is and go by that. As part of the Supreme Lord, seeing every soul, especially in the human form. Yes, but we need to see. Then the next one is hearing about the activities and instructions given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the shelter of the saintly persons. Chanting about these activities and instructions. Yes, about the Lord. That one is constantly thinking of his virya, tad virya gayana mahamruta magna chittaha. Always remembering these activities and instructions, trying to render service, performing worship, offering obeisances, becoming a servant, dasya, sakya, atma nivedana, surrendering. O King Yudhishthira, these 30 qualifications must be acquired in the human form of life. Simply by acquiring these qualifications, one can satisfy the Supreme Personality of God. And to show us this by example, Rama is coming and doing all that he has to do here. So again, I saw an interesting comment in Vidwan Gauranga Prabhu's book. He's saying that it is appropriate for others to accumulate piety, which I mentioned this point earlier, that we all need to, and therefore we want to do yajna, we want to do 5 sacrifice, whatever else, which we have as our object. But Rama, who is now pursuing dharma, born of bodily austerities, that's a matter of perplexity. So he's saying, Dig Jeevitam, oh, to hell with this life. I shouldn't even be alive. Fee upon me that I'm even alive. Nrishamsasya This Nrishamsa word we've seen again and again and again and again, and it was referred to only one person in Ramayana. Who is that person? Nrishamsa.
Kaikeyi.
Yes. So now, as Kaikeyi's son, he's using this upon himself. He says, I'm very cruel. I don't deserve to live. Mamaloka Vigarhitam. The whole world despises me. Why am I alive? I put him into this state. So it's very, very sad that this state has come because of me. So then what does he want to do? He's literally lunging towards Rama. He's running towards Rama. But in that state, with tears filling his eyes and his whole face perspiring, he's not having any control over his body. What happens to him? Pada aprapya Ramasya. He's going for Rama's feet, but pada aprapya Ramasya. This is the fate of the normal personalities in the material world. Manushyanam kahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatataamapi siddhanam kaschinmam vetti tattvataha. Very rarely one will get to. Even if we attempt, when we make an attempt, we may not get there. Here Bharata is making an attempt, but he doesn't get there. But this is not, let's not underestimate what Bharata is. We will see what he gets after this, and then we will understand Bharata better. But it looks like this is a failed attempt. So we should all take strength from the fact that Bharata went there, attempted to get to the feet of the Lord, but he didn't. So if we actually take to the feet of Bharata and great Alvars and devotees of the Lord in this way, then we know how to actually reach the Lord. We can surely reach the Lord. And then what did happen? When he was trying to reach Rama, even before he went close to Rama, Papata Bharato Rudan, he fell down crying. And then he only said one word. He says, Hey Arya, Arya iti. He referred to Rama, oh noble one. He said that and he just fell on the ground. So at the same time, Shatrughna is also coming along. He's crying. He's also offering his obeisances to Rama. This demonstrates, you see what is going to happen after this, we will see. Immediately when Rama saw this, Rama gets up from there, comes and embraces both of them. You see, when we were talking about the different personalities in Ramayana, we talked about Rama and Lakshmana and how they were, like Prana, what is that? Bahya Prana. Iva, Lakshmana is referred to as Bahya Prana. His life is outside, that is Lakshmana. That's how close Rama and Lakshmana are. And that's exactly how close Shatrughna and Bharata were. Whatever Bharata was doing, Shatrughna was there, present as part of that. So, what is happening here is Bharata is the person who is actually spearheading this effort of going towards Rama. Shatrughna is just there backing him up wherever he goes. Now, Shatrughna also, he's not in the scene at all practically, he's just in the background. He's a shadow of Bharata. But the shadow also gets the same advantage as the actual person himself. And what happens? Rama comes there and embraces both of them, shedding tears happily to be able to meet them. So Govindaraja gives this point that if one is a genuine devotee of a genuine devotee, then the Supreme Lord will have the same affection for the Lord. Then that person will have the same affection for the Lord as does the direct devotee of the Lord. So if we are attached to Tad Bhritya Bhritya Paricharaka Bhritya Bhritya Tarara Napimam Smaralokanata. Yes. Gopi Bhartuhu Pada Kamalayo Dasa Dasa Anudas. Yes. So if we are the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord, and if we are sincere about that, then we are definitely connected to the Supreme Lord, and we will get the same mood and attitude of that person. So Shatrughna is just a sincere follower of Bharata. He has the same mood and attitude, he has the same results as Bharata gets. So what did Bharata get? It's not that Bharata missed the mark. Bharata got the mark and more. He got actually Jnatum, Drashtum, Chatatvena praveshtum chaparantapa. In one sense, if you see, first he saw the smoke, then there is, okay, Jnatum, I think he's there. Then he got the opportunity to stand, be there and see that personality with matted hair and deer skin sitting there with fire, like effulgence glowing like fire all around him, sitting on kusha grass that's been spread out there with those beautiful eyes, the shoulder of lions, the arms, strong arms sitting there like Brahma, but more, greater from a perspective of eternality. When he sees that personality and gets the opportunity, Jnatum, Drashtum, Cha Tattvena Praveshtum. Literally, Praveshtum means you actually go. Here I am just making a compare that you go and embrace the Lord. Yes, you become Prema Alingana Ananda Pujana. This is from one of the Abhangas. So then the compare is made. Diva, before that, I'll make one other point. Many years ago, I think I've narrated this story before, but I'll say that again. Many years ago, inspired by the book marathon season, and Banu Maharaj also, who's my first guru, the person who's inspired, who's been the source of all of our learning and knowledge in many ways. All of our initial years were completely formed by His Holiness Bhanu Swami Maharaj, and so would anybody who's had anything to do with the Chennai temple, and so would they say. So this great personality inspired us to go out and distribute books. So we went out distributing books. So one day we went to what is known as Shastri Bhavan, where a lot of the government offices are there. So when we went into Shastri Bhavan, generally, when you go to government offices, these are very bureaucratic spaces. You can't make entry into it, not as a college student for sure. It's not easy at all. But then we had Tilak, we had Gita book, and we go and tell them Bhagavad Gita. Then a natural thing. A guy doesn't want to say no. Today, maybe it's becoming more asuric with the current state of affairs in Tamil Nadu. But nobody really had much resistance. You can either meet complete demons who throw you out, come to beat you. That's one end of the spectrum, which is a very small percentage, and a chunk of the people who are favorable but don't want to actually committal, and there's a good portion who are also very favorable to books, and it's a great honor to meet people like that. So we went up and spoke to one secretary of an IAS officer, and some Pandey was the name, and the gentleman, we were asked to wait. We waited for a few minutes. The two of us, Krishna Kishore Prabhu and myself, both of us waiting. So when we went in to meet him, it looks like there were some other people meeting him, but he made a quick, gave them a quick exit to accommodate us. So these two young fellows talking to possibly a 50-year-old gentleman sitting there, and then we're having a conversation with him, and then he's quoting left, right, center, and talking about the fact that in his earlier basis, his family background, there have been people who have been regularly reading scripture and working with these, but unfortunately, thanks to the work pressure and various other things, he's not been able to do much of it. At that time, I learnt one verse from him, sitting there in his office. He said that once, and I was able to, because it's such a beautiful verse, I was able to grasp it there. He quoted from Mahabharata, and he said, Ekopi Krishnaha Krita Praname. If a person does Ekaha api, even if it is just one, Krishna Krita Praname, one pranam to Krishna, Dashashvamedi Punareti Tulyaha. One who is doing 10 Ashwamedha Yajnas, this person is equal to him. Yes, he can be compared to him. Let me not say equal. He can be compared to him. Eko Pikru, just one pranam. You know what an Ashwamedha means? You can't even imagine how much difficulty a person has to go for Ashwamedha. You heard all those stories of Indra coming and stealing the horses and all that stuff. There's simply no way somebody in a day like this can ever perform Ashwamedha. Nobody, it's impossible. You can't perform 1/10 of Ashwamedha today in all practicality. To do that 10 times over is a different story. Dashashvamedi. So he says, this person who is doing one pranam, and who's this coming from? This is coming from Bhishma. Bhishmacharya is saying, Yudhishthira, this person, he's saying, it seems Krishna was to the left of Bhishma. And Bhishma is showing his left hand. He's showing towards Krishna because that's his state. If he's in the left, you can't, with his hands all and his whole body nailed down by arrows, he's not going to be able to move much over. Then he's showing his hand towards Krishna and he's saying, this person that's standing here, he's the supreme person that you're talking. And to him, Ekopi Krishna Purukat Praname. If a person does one pranama to this Krishna, he can be equated to somebody who has done Dashashwamedha. But then he says, don't make a mistake here. Listen carefully. Dashashwamedhi Punareti Bhuyaha. The fellow who does 10 Ashwamedha Yajnas will come back into this material world. But Krishna Praname Na Punarbhavaya. The person who does that pranam to Krishna will never come back into this material world. This is Bhishma Acharya's words. Such a great personality is saying. Exactly like this, when that comparison to Brahma is made, that it came to my head then and then I missed a thread. When that comparison to Brahma is made, they are saying he's like Brahma. But then Shashwatam, the word is being used. He may be looking like Brahma, but this is a different genre altogether. This is the supreme personality, and therefore he is Purusham, Shashwatam, Divyam, Adidevam, Ajam, Vibhum. That point is also being made. So, here, immediately following that, Divakaraishchaiva. Look at that. First point is being made. Rama is resplendent. Okay? So he is being compared to Divakaraishchaiva. He is being compared to Divakara, the sun, glowing. And Nishakarascha. Lakshmana is being compared to Nishakara. Yeah, it's an interesting word. Again, Valmiki is playing with alliteration. Divakara. So immediately uses the word Nishakara. Nisha is night. The person, what causes the night and what causes the day. Divakara, the sun, and Nishakara, the moon. So he's saying these two are there, and Yatambare, just as these two are there in the Ambara, and sometimes you will also see Shukra Brahaspatibhyam. I don't know whether it's astrologically or astronomically this thing, that you see Venus and Jupiter also in the sky. So it's like these four have come together like that. He's saying Sumantra and Guha also come and join in with Rama and Lakshmana at that point in time. So you look at the beautiful comparison that Valmiki is able to make there. Upon seeing those princes, then what happened? All the other sadhus, we know the ethos where this story is happening. So in that ethos, there are many other ashramas. All those sadhus suddenly come in there when they see this meeting happening, when they see the voices happening there, and when they see this great meeting. Till now, they have only seen Rama. Now we are seeing an exact replica of Rama, and then we are seeing an exact replica of Lakshmana, which is Shatrughna on the other side. So they are also seeing these, and then they are seeing the beautiful exchanges between these brothers. When they see that, the sages, who are generally always people who are Atmananda, or always in they're never in a state of want. They're always in a state of happiness. Yes, Nityananda. So that is their state. They are always in Ananda. Those people gave up their joy. Valmiki says, gave up their joy and shed tears looking at these brothers coming together. So that's the beauty of Aranyakanda, where it brings us together in this direction. So that ends, with that we end 25% of Ramayana, and we end chapter 99 in Valmiki Ramayana. We move on to chapter 100, which we will look at possibly 10 verses, and then we'll wrap for the day. So Rama instructs Bharata about the duties of a king. This is the chapter title that is there. So if you see, Rama is embracing him, and then as part of inquiring with Bharata, you need to understand what the scenario here is. The scenario is, Rama knows Bharata is going to be ruling this kingdom for the next 14 years. There is no change in Rama's mind, very clearly. It will never change under any circumstance. He knows he's going to be ruling. It's not that he's going to pull him up separately and going to have a conversation with him and tell him, listen, I'm going to give you some instructions on this thing. No. As soon as he comes, as part of that, as part of the inquiries that he is making, as he is inquiring about how is everything in the kingdom, he is giving instructions to Bharata on how a kingdom should be handled. So jatilam chiravasam dadarsha ramo durdarsham. So to say that it was actually very difficult for him to even see Rama. Rama was just so effulgent, and as I said, he looked even more beautiful than Bharata had ever seen him before. So Govindaraja says that Rama is thinking that Bharata was already ruling the kingdom, possibly, yes. He doesn't know that Bharata never got into ruling the kingdom. So he asked him about political administration. So later, possibly they will not get an opportunity. So he saw the situation maybe right to ask, and getting to know. You see, what is going to happen later is, as soon as he comes to know about Dasharatha, the whole mood is going to change. And as soon as Bharata makes the declaration, this is all Govindaraja's commentary, as soon as Bharata is going to make the declaration that I will only sleep on the floor and I will live with Jata and I will live exactly the standard that you are living, and I'll wait for you for the 14 years, 14 plus 1, day 1. If you don't appear, I'll immolate myself. When he makes that statement, then after that things are going to change. The very mood is going to change. Rama is going to, so Rama takes this opportunity to talk about how to administer the kingdom ahead of that. So then Rama is thinking, when he's seeing Bharata, actually when Bharata falls down, this is Valmiki is now tracing it back, and he's talking about, till now we saw Bharata's view of everything. Now we are going to see Rama's view. So when Rama is first seeing Bharata, he's trying to recognize Bharata, because he hasn't seen Bharata for a long time. He's never seen Bharata in this state. He didn't expect Bharata to come with matted hair and in this manner. He was expecting somebody in royal regalia to walk into that space. So, and then he starts to ponder in his head. He says, whenever Dasharatha sees a nice piece of cloth, or he would see a beautiful garland or beautiful flowers, Dasharatha would go and would say, this would be very nice. Bharata will like this. Yes, Dasharatha would go and decorate Bharata with it. So he says that person is now having matted hair. Then considering that even a bed of roses will be too hard for Bharata, Dasharatha would have him on his lap. When he used to be a very young child, he would have him on his lap. He's saying this Bharata is now coming here, and he's going to say that he's going to later, he's going to say he'll sleep on the ground. But here he's fallen on the ground flat in front of Rama. He's saying that person for whom even roses are too hard is now on the hard cold floor out here. And then Rama was sitting on a kusha grass. Yes? Bharata with his hair matted, yes, was not fit to be seen by Rama. This is, Rama didn't want to see him, and he could be seen by Rama only with great difficulty. Rama could see him with great difficulty and distress, like the sun at the time of dissolution. Yes, indicate that Bharata could not be happily seen just by Rama. He could not be happily seen by anyone for that matter. Anybody who sees Bharata, we saw that with Guha, we saw that later with Bharadwaja also, with some doubt initially. So to say that Bharata could have worn cloth made of bark when he had put on silk cloth to meet Bharadwaja at that point in time. So it seems that that's another aspect that's coming up, to say that when he met Bharadwaja, he put on silk cloth because they use silk cloth for puja. So, and because they're meeting a very great personality. So after meeting Bharadwaja, he put on bark garments, hoping that, seeing that Rama would understand what his mood is, and that Rama may be compassionate to him. Rama could just dispose of with Bharata even without giving him an audience, for that matter, if he needs to do. So he is trying to see that he is positioned right, so that he will be able to get the mercy of Rama. katanchit abhivijnaya vivarnam vadanam krusham. It was very difficult. Katanchit abhivijnaya, nyaya, nya, to know, abhivijnaya, to know. Vivarnam, because the varna, the color, had actually changed. Vadanam krusham, and he had been completely emaciated. He's not been eating right, he's not been sleeping, he's been constantly lamenting, with faces placid, eyes red, and probably dehydrated because of endless tearing there. Agraya, Agraya, Ramastam Murdhani. So Rama, after embracing him, he takes his head and he smells Agraya, kisses him on his forehead, smells his forehead actually. Parishwajya Charagava, and then he embraced him, Bharata, separately. Then Anke Bharatamarupya, he took Bharata and had him placed on his lap. Parya Prichati Samahita, and he asked in a Samahita. So yes, initially there was an upheaval when he met Bharata, but Rama was Samahita. In a very calm, composed mind, he asked the following questions to Bharata, now that Bharata has come over. So we are dealing with chapter 100 of Ayodhya Kanda. We have another probably 16 chapters to go before we wrap up this segment. Rama inquired about his father first. So what is he saying? Bhata pashyami dushpratikam. Yes, he's saying dushpratikam. Look, it's very piteous to see you in this condition. Kim tata varamagatam. My dear one, why have you come to the forest? Is the first question he's asking him. And then he says, Kvanu te bhuta Kvanu te abhut pita tata yadranya tvam agataha. He says, how's our father? Where is the father? Kvanu te abhut pita. Where is our father? Tata, my dear one. Why have you come to the forest, leaving him alone? Nahitvam jivitaha tasya. When he is alive, you should not have, when he is around, when the father is around, you should not have left him and come here at all. Vanam agantum arhasi. Arhasi, you don't deserve to, you should not have. It's not the right thing to do, that you should be here. So Govindaraja in his commentary is saying, Bharata should not have come while his father was alive, because he should have been merely serving him. And if this has happened, how is the father going to be able to tolerate being away from Bharata? So it doesn't matter, maybe you consider being important, but the father is more important. If he's here, you should be with him. Why are you here? Is more or less the question. Then Kachid dharyate tataha. Dharyate is, how is he bearing up? Yes, how is he? Tataha. Raja tvam iha gataha. How is he bearing up, the king, Raja, now that you have come here? Kachin dina sahasa. Hope not. Raja lokantaram gataha. I hope not. The poor king, Dinam, Sahasa, immediately after my coming, I hope Lokantaram, he is not moved out of this world. I hope he is not passed on. That you have come here is the first question that he is asking. Very concerned about father. Govindaraja is saying, could the king maintain his life if Bharata had left him to see Rama? Rama implied that had the king been alive, he would not tolerate Bharata going away. In some manuscript it says Kachinna dharate, appears instead of this, indicating that Rama was asking, is it the king maintaining his life now that you have come here? Yes, that's another version to look at it. Kachit Dasharato Raja Kushali Satya Vikramam. The person who is known, who is famous for his Vikrama, for the great activities in connection with Satya, that Raja Kushali, is he doing well? So that is the first question he is asking him. Then the next question he is asking, this is a barrage of questions. Bharata is not responding at all to these questions. Bharata is already overwhelmed with the situation. He is hearing Rama out of respect. There's an elder who is speaking, he is listening to him. Inquiring about the mothers. Sa tata kachit kaushalya. Sa tata. Oh dear one, I hope Kaushalya, Sumitra, Cha Prajavati, and Sumitra, who are both great progenitors. Prajavati, they've had great sons. This Prajavati is also can be used later for the later part of the sentence. Sukhini, are all of them Sukhini? Are they peaceful? Kachid Dharya Cha Devi Nandati Kaikeyi. Sukhini, are they in peace? Because they have been in great distress because of Rama's moving on, Lakshmana's moving on. But then his next question is about the next mother. Kachid Arya. That noble lady, he's referring to Kaikeyi. Here, Devi Nandati Kaikeyi. Nandati, Nanda, Ananda. Is she happy? Because all this has happened to make her happy. I hope she is happy. Is the first question as he inquires in the same breath of Kaikeyi, of Kaushalya and Sumitra. He is also inquiring about them. So I think what we will do is we'll wrap up with this.